From Dragon Ball Super, one of the most controversial things in the community was Gohan, for some justified reasons and for some unjustified reasons. Ever since his treatment in Resurrection F, there's been a huge split in the community regarding how Gohan was handled in Super. One faction said he was wasted, a bunch of missed potential that could have been handled a lot better, seeing him as a useless and wasted character right now. But there is another side to the community that I noticed, and one that I'm personally on. Today, we'll be talking about some misconceptions regarding Gohan in Dragon Ball Super, and also why I personally think he was one of the best developed characters in Dragon Ball Super, and why I think the show actually handled him pretty well. So, if you're not new to the channel, you probably know, I do like Gohan. He's not my favorite character anymore, that would be Piccolo, but he's still up very high. Definitely my top 5, possibly my top 3, but that's besides the point. I want to try talking about this as unbiased as possible. Funny enough, part of the reason he's one of my favorite characters is how he was handled in Super. I know, it sounds blasphemous. And I could see where people are coming from where they think that he's wasted. They may see how he was treated in Resurrection F, and how he didn't really fight too much in the series. But he wasn't wasted at all, far from it. Ignoring Battle of Gods, let's actually start from Resurrection F, where a lot of people's problems come from. I'm sure you all know by now, Gohan wasn't particularly too strong in Resurrection F. In the movie, he could barely go Super Saiyan. Same in the anime, but in the anime, it went a step further, with him facing off against Frieza and almost dying. There's that one picture everyone knows of him after he got decimated, and I see that picture thrown around a lot, and his showing here was very poor, I'm not going to deny it, but I'm fine with it. Whoa, before you go into the comments hating on me for liking this, let me explain. How could I possibly enjoy this scene? Well, I don't, but the concept of it combined with the overarching story of Super overall, it fits pretty well. This serves as a turning point for Gohan. He has an entire arc in Super. If you look at his character, you can see that he actually grows. And this scene right here, the scene that everyone hates, it serves a purpose. This is the start of his new character arc in Super. Before Resurrection F, he wasn't training much. He didn't think he needed to. He didn't have a balance of work, life, and training. We could see both in the anime and manga, right after Resurrection F, Gohan's already starting to train again. The fact that he wasn't strong enough to defend against Frieza really motivated him. And I've noticed, not a lot of people have picked up on this, and I don't really blame them. The scenes that he was shown in were kind of forgettable. In the anime, it was when he was recruited for the Universe 6 tournament, we could see him training with Piccolo once again, even in that same tracksuit. He flat out says, after his encounter with Frieza, he wants to train and get stronger. And in the manga, it's an equally small scene, actually taking place in a bonus chapter during the future Trunks arc, where, in a single panel, Gohan mentions that he's been training again, in the Gravity Room specifically. And we could see here with both of these, whatever version you want to look at, this is when Gohan really starts to turn, realizing he needs to push himself further and get stronger. He doesn't want to face a humiliation like Frieza again. He wants to be able to defend his friends, family, and Earth. And although small, I really enjoy his scenes in the future Trunks arc as well. When he meets Trunks, you can see the direct disconnect. Trunks was pretty happy to see that Gohan was happy in this timeline, but nonetheless he was surprised to see what Gohan's become, not nearly as strong as he was before. But then, in the arc's conclusion, we see one more encounter between the two. When Trunks travels back to his timeline, the last person he sees is Gohan encouraging him. It's a really nice scene, one of my favorites in Super actually. You could even see right in the scene the parallels between present Gohan and future Gohan. And this is also one of those rare cases where Gohan actually has his bang, harkening back to his ultimate form from before. This arc only further served to encourage him. Although he didn't fight at all and he wasn't involved too much, these small scenes are important to his character. But the biggest development comes from the Tournament of Power. And thankfully, one of the few people that does get a lot of development is Gohan. And immediately after the future Trunks arc, we see Gohan improving more and more. He doesn't have his ultimate form still, but his training's been paying off. He's back in Super Saiyan and he's getting better at fighting. Still not going past his peak, but he's way better off than he was in Resurrection F, and he's about to reawaken his true potential. First we see he's actually more proactive now, joining the Zen exhibition match and actually having a decently good showing. Yeah, he did end up unconscious in the end, but he was able to work around Lavender's poison in a pretty smart way, and it clearly shows that his training's been paying off. He's recruited as the leader of Universe 7, and he begins training more with Piccolo, trying to reawaken that state he had before. He trained for a year trying to get back to his true strength, and he greatly surpassed that. I made a whole video power scaling Gohan, up to the Tournament of Power in the anime. I'll link that above here. But in that video we came to the conclusion that if you're lowballing, Gohan's around Super Saiyan God level, but more evidence points towards him being Super Saiyan Blue level. You could check out that video for more info. But like I said, I'm not here to argue that. Even if we're going to use the lowball saying he's only Super Saiyan God level, that's still really impressive. The guy who was barely able to go Super Saiyan at the start of Super is now one of the strongest people in his universe. And we've talked a little too much about power, but he does actually get character development here. I'm sure all of you remember in the Buu saga, Gohan screwing up, essentially making the same mistake he made against Cell where he gets too ahead of himself. But here, Gohan actually learns to put that behind him, becoming a way more skilled fighter than ever and one who's way more tactical, not letting all the power get to his head. He was very level-headed during the tournament. He helped with some eliminations and even got some himself, and it was a pretty impressive showing for him. One of my favorite episodes in the series was episode 118, which is the one where Universe 2 and Universe 6 get eliminated, and the people who eliminated Universe 6 were Gohan and Piccolo. This episode all around is just amazing, definitely a highlight in Super. Between the fights, the conclusion, everything about it. But the reason I'm bringing it up is it's a nice character moment for Gohan. For so much of his life, Gohan had to be saved somehow. But here, the roles are flipped. Gohan's the savior. With a callback to the Saiyan saga, he defends Piccolo, apologizing for his mistakes and wanting to do it over again. Besides the Cell saga and a few other moments in Z, a lot of the times it felt like Gohan was the one in distress. Kidnapped by Raditz, having to be saved from Nappa, defenseless against Frieza, hesitant when defeating Cell, not being able to defeat Dabura or Buu, or even a few arcs prior in Resurrection F, needing to be saved by Piccolo once again. But here, Gohan's the one doing the saving. Sure, I might be looking into it too deep. It may be a little moment, but this small part is honestly pretty great for him, and shows truly how much he's grown as a person and a fighter. We even see against Dispo, although it doesn't mean he gets eliminated, he's quick and decisive enough to know how to take him out, even if it means sacrificing himself. Dispo could have been a big problem otherwise. And it was another really nice moment for him. And where does that leave us now? He was absent in the Broly movie, and of course, in the manga version of the Tournament of Power, we saw him fight a nerfed version of Kefla, which was pretty cool, although brief and a lot of it was off screen. But now, that brings us to the Moro arc, and we can see once again, Gohan's development has paid off. Besides Goku and Vegeta, he's regarded as one of the strongest people on Earth right now. And he does get some moments to shine, specifically his fights against 7-3. He's a lot more tactical and to the point when he's fighting, showing off an impressive increase in ability, a far cry from where he was before in Resurrection F. And who knows, maybe there's some more in the Moro arc that he's gonna do. As of recording this, the arc still isn't finished, but for all we know, we could see more of him in this arc, maybe helping in its conclusion. But with that, I've pretty much covered all of Super. So overall, I think I've made all the points I wanted to make. I truly do think that he's one of the best handled characters in this show. I actually think he was handled better here than he was in the Buu saga. Gohan's finally found the balance that he desperately needed, being able to balance his work life, his family life, but also his life as a fighter. He's developed greatly from where he was before, maturing as a person and a fighter. Not to mention he's pretty strong too, which is a huge plus. One thing I really liked in Super is that he had some struggle to get his power back. Let's compare him to Buu saga Gohan. In the Buu saga, Gohan kind of slacked off for the 7 years, not getting stronger and actually getting a bit weaker. And essentially, he gets Ultimate handed to him, only for him to lose a fight right after by making the same mistake that he did against Cell. In Super, he experienced defeat again at the hands of Frieza. He once again made the mistake of slacking off a bit, not honing his power. Had he done this, he would have probably gotten a lot stronger, and wouldn't have lost Ultimate or Super Saiyan 2 for that matter. As I mentioned earlier, this was the turning point for him. Regarding the huge boost in power that he got, I feel it's actually explainable. Let's look at the fundamentals of the Ultimate form. The whole purpose of it is to unleash the potential of the user. As we know, hybrid Saiyans have huge potential, especially Gohan. So combining a hybrid Saiyan with a form that unleashes all this latent potential, it's a mix that's going to give someone a lot of power. Back to the Buu saga, look at how huge the boost was from it. In the Buu saga, Gohan started out weaker than he was in the Cell saga. And even after not doing much training over those 7 years, he still had so much potential that once it was unlocked, he surpassed Super Saiyan 3 Goku even. The ultimate form, or the ritual for that matter, is very potent, and that's why I feel his boost makes sense in Super. I know a lot of people point out, how did he get so strong so quickly? And it was all because of Ultimate. For about a year, he was training after Resurrection F, but he wasn't able to surpass his limits and break the mental wall that kept him from getting Ultimate again. And as we know in Dragon Ball, potential isn't stagnant, it can keep growing, especially if someone trains a lot, like Gohan. He was even able to work his way back up to Super Saiyan 2, but Ultimate was the push he needed. Being a hybrid and doing all that training could greatly increase his potential, and that's why the second he gained Ultimate back, he got such a huge boost in power. All that potential that was building up in there exploded out instantly. And it's realistic considering that in the Buu saga, after not training for 7 years, he still had so much potential within him that it made him the strongest person there. Well, the strongest unfused person. But you get my point. Gohan had to actually work hard to get Ultimate back and get his strength back. The power that Ultimate has to unleash someone's potential is what brought this out of him. I wanted to address that because I see people bring it up sometimes. thinking it's a little unbelievable that Gohan got so strong so quickly. But really, I feel it's sensical. You gotta consider what Saiyans, especially hybrid Saiyans, are capable of. Not to mention how potent the ultimate form is. Characters like Goku, Vegeta, even Trunks can develop really quickly. And in more egregious cases, we have people like Broly, Frieza, or even Android 17. A huge power boost like this isn't unheard of in Super. And as for Gohan, he has those reasons backing him up, being a hybrid Saiyan and having that ultimate form combined with it. It's a deadly combo. But with that tangent aside, I think I've covered all the points I wanted to. Overall, Gohan's a lot stronger, he's more reliable, and he's happy. He has a balance between work, being a father, and now, once again, being a fighter. Obviously I can't change opinions here. If you don't like Gohan, that's one thing, and you're fine to not like him. But the goal of this video isn't to recruit Gohan stans or whatever. Not at all. I'm just trying to debunk some misconceptions that I see in the community a lot. How Gohan's weak, he's wasted. Or how Super didn't handle him well. And hopefully this video did its job. I got to express why I think Super handled him well, and if I'm lucky, maybe I cleared up some misconceptions with some people. But all in all, I think he was one of the best handled characters in the show. He had struggle, he got development, which is a rare sight in Super, he stayed consistent, and now he has a unique path for himself. He's not just getting a Super Saiyan God or Blue or whatever. He'll be using Ultimate and be pursuing some sort of new power. And I think this is a really good sign for him. But I want to hear what you think. It's a discussion video after all. What did you think about this video? What do you think about Gohan and Super? What do you think the future holds for him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get a couple discussions going. Please keep it civil, by the way. But I think that just about covers it. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any other uploads I have on my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.